welcome back to Martin in the Next Dimension. I am Martin, and we are continuing on a series of reviewing OWL3D live to 2D to 3D conversion. So I'm playing this game as it's converted into 3D, so I'm playing it in 3D. As you can see, normal, the cinematics always tend to look really good. So OWL3D is trained, I think, on a lot of movies and whatnot, so it tends to do really good. Even with these incredibly low resolution videos like this, you can see all the artifacting and everything in the video. It still manages it really well. Oh, look at that thing come right at us. So, setting this up, I guess I'll talk about the game a little bit. This is Warhammer 40K CHAOSGATE. So I think it's a 90s game, back when XCOM, before it was re-released in a whole new series, started this turn-based combat kind of vibe going on. That's what this game is. It's a turn-based Warhammer combat game. Warhammer CHAOSGATE. And you can see like the stained glass and those pillars, how incredibly sharp and amazing those are. Fantastic. Spoilers. They have really good depth. Kind of crazy how good the depth is. But setting it up's a little tricky. You just gotta make sure you can get it to window mode. I can't remember if I used DG Voodoo and turned it off. But it wasn't too hard. I think the worst flux you get in this game is right here. These skulls rotating. It doesn't know what to do about those damn things. It doesn't lose its depth, but it doesn't quite know. Now look at these. Look at those statues. Those are just, that's sublime level of detail there. It's so nice. It wowed me so much. I did not expect that this game was going to be able to churn much 3D out, and instead it's one of the top games that again, spoilers, that I experienced. How it changed the feel of the game. This is probably the least impressive part of the cinematics, but you'll see here in a minute when we get to the cathedral. Holy cow, gonna knock the socks off. And I'm going to talk about the 3D depth and accuracy in three different places. So for the cinematics, the depth is great and the accuracy is spot on, no problems whatsoever. It just excels at these cinematics, probably because they have all the right coloring. Maybe even the blocking allows, the dithering allows OWL3D to understand the depth even better. I don't know how it works, to tell you the honest truth. But look at this cathedral. This is one of the best 3D depths I have seen. Yeah, just floored me how much depth you can feel in this area, and everything, like all the pillars stand out, the ramps, just really fantastic. You can see in this scene also 3D is perfect. The GUI is up front, everything else is behind. It's fantastic. In general, no glitches, nothing significant. You notice the mouse looks just fine. That's nice. Every now and then I've been battling the mouse on a lot of games. This one works great. Look at that Marine. This is old school Warhammer when the Marines were still semi-human sized, just with some bulky armor. Not like now where they're freaking 10-foot tall mechanized nightmares. But all of this looks and falls so nicely, and the accuracy is just spot on for all of it. I love these buttons, how they pop out, how the bevels all have shapes. Only one game does this part better, the bevels, and we'll get to that down the road. But tip or hint, it's Fallout 1. But this is just really classy. Now this is what is kind of holding off to do a lot of the rest, is the actual combat scene where you'll spend most of your time. Dude, that was rude. They're just trying to shoot my guys. It's rude. This is the battlefield, and the 3D I think is really good given what they're working with and how far away they are. So you still have a sense of all the plants seem like they're coming off the ground. I could have elevated the height and probably had showed the trees, but all the ground looks solid and the troops all kind of have a little bit of depth in the spot. Well, like I did until I turned them into a paste. But it just made the battlefield feel so much more alive to me. Here's where the only place where I think the accuracy gets a little confused. I'll go back to it later, but the building, sometimes doesn't quite know how to interpret the shapes because they're non-standard, got weird shapes, but in general, the accuracy is really solid otherwise. And it definitely doesn't detract from how you play the game, I think. The 3D depth is really fun. I just really like that it feels like a little table you're watching with actual miniatures, which is a Warhammer thing, right? The game was originally miniatures. This feels like you're playing on a Warhammer table to a degree. Really enjoyable. There's, like I covered, there's no real glitches. I think the value for the game is very high. I really enjoyed playing it this way a lot. And this is really impressive here. It doesn't match those other scenes we already just viewed at how amazing they look. Even our buttons down below, I can feel a sense of depth on all of them, and the two reliefs on either side. Really just kind of knocked my socks off with this game. I was just not. I also love this style of game too. I was not expecting it though. The only drawback I think to that is these are very, even one mission could take you an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably later in the game. I assume if it's like XCOM, honestly, I'm just presuming, but it takes some time. So if you're like me and I'm using a Quest 3 to view the gameplay, I'm probably not going to do 50 hours with the headset on. But if I have a 3D screen, that might change it. All depends on how much you want to do that or not. Everybody has different tolerances. I'm just really excited about getting the OWL3D shift, so I can't wait to try stuff like this on there, because then I don't have to put a headset on. I can just go in and play the game. Alright, side tangent enough. The pros for this game, the 3D just surprises me all over the place. The menus are peak. That cathedral scene, fantastic. Really just what you want out of this. This is what you want out of OWL 2D to 3D live conversion. Especially these pixel-based games, there's no business ever being in 3D because they're not actually 3D environments. So this is, like, for me, one of the best cases of why you would use OWL3D live. Drawbacks, just a tricky setup. A few accuracy issues when it tries to figure out corridors and buildings and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's really not much of a drawback. So I'm giving this one an S tier. I honestly think this is one of the best. Just look at that depth. I get floored every time I see it. But I think this is an S tier. This is how I want to play this game. It adds such a vibe that you just can't capture that otherwise. It's so good. Anyways, that's Warhammer 40K CHAOSGATE. Alright, our next game is HELLGATE London. Just like the other game, the cinematics do better. They just automatically do pretty well. So I only include a small portion of the cinematics for this game. HELLGATE London was one of the first 3D Diablo-likes, like from a over-the-shoulder or first-person view. Before they were all top-down, hack and slashers. This is one of the ones, and it's set in a futuristic modern time, so it kind of brought a bit of different things to it. So I guess I should cover one caveat about this is I owned the game. I purchased the game on CD, so I've owned this game before it was on any streaming service. Well, so it's a different version that's on than it is on Steam. I imagine it should work fairly similar, but the one on Steam was bought by somebody and retooled, so it's probably gonna play a little bit different but look a lot the same. So I'm gonna presume that you can get it on Steam and play that version, or you can try to find the original version somewhere. That's what I'm playing off of. But as you can see, the cinematics are really, really good. Great depth, really add to the vibe. Now, setting up HELLGATE London is, provided you can get it installed and all good to go, not really that big of a deal. It seems to work pretty well. The harder part is just finding the game, installing the game, making sure it's updated with all its weird patches. I love this part here. HELLGATE London. That's really fun. But and then having to go. I think in general, we'll get into the game here. You'll see in a minute one of the glitches that I unfortunately don't love too much, but I do crank the 3D depth up to max, and so to see that what's happening around her gun and her head doesn't really happen in game, but definitely happens right there, and I don't know why. Maybe I have it just too high. I have it maxed out for depth. So once we get into game, I am playing a marksman, I think, and so the character can do first person view. All the other characters can't. It's a third person over the shoulder view. But I like the first person. I like the immersion, hence why I like 3D. So my preference is to play this character. I was gonna show the third person view. I think I cut that. But you can see here the 3D. Let's talk about flux first. Flux. There's very little flux when you're in the game. It's really, really rock solid, surprisingly so. I to the point I really didn't view flux as a problem at all while playing this, which is really surprising. I didn't know. Again, one of these older games, you don't know how it's going to behave when you try to do something like throw it into 3D, and sometimes you're like, oh, this should work, and it doesn't. Sometimes you're like, oh, probably won't work, and then you get this. All the geometry feels really strong. So there's not really any flux worth mentioning. I'm sure it happens every now and then with something little here or there. Maybe in the tunnels a little bit when the fog is shooting in your face and stuff. But for the most part, solid. Really solid. And the 3D depth is really good. There's a very good sense of depth. Everything feels like I'm walking on a street in London. That's fantastic. Well, post-apocalyptic hell London, but London nonetheless, with lots of boxes, apparently. So, I mean, look at that, bro. That's so nice. I just really, really enjoy it. So the 3D serves it really well. Very strong 3D. Very much enjoy how it looks. Everything seems to be at a good thing. One of the benefits of a 2D to 3D conversion versus real 3D driver that we change it to 3D is very often they really muck these guns up really tough. And you can see even here it's struggling a little bit on how it doesn't make the gun push into things. But it does better on all live 3D than, say, those 3D drivers. Sometimes those guns look terrible, but they look pretty good in this. You can see in the tunnel, the depth is fantastic. The accuracy is near perfect. There was a dumpster off the ground. Very small things like that pop up every now and then, but it's about as good as we can ask out of this tool, to tell honest truth. Very solid. The only glitches that I noticed primarily were what you saw on that character select screen. Just a lot of like shimmering. And I think that's mostly my fault for maxing the depth out. Oh, I love this little area here. This dude's techno shop. I think I would say that the value for this game is really high. There's almost no glitches. The 3D is fantastic. The accuracy is mostly on spot. Every now and then it messes how close something's to a floor. But it feels really nice to play and have that added thing. It's not quite geometry 3D level quality, but it's pretty close. It gets really close there. So I think the cinematics and the 3D are really highlights. The accuracy is pretty good. It might glitch out a little bit if you get too close to one of the shelves, maybe. I don't know. So the cons are, it's just, I think the biggest con is there might be a little bit of hit to your FPS. So whether your computer can run that level or not, I don't know. Because I feel like I don't have an FPS meter running, but I feel like that it's probably chugging my frame rate a little bit. So I don't mind that as long as I can run it. So we're all good. But it's something to watch out if you don't have a beefy computer. Well, if you don't have a beefy computer, there's going to be a lot of these games you can't run, sadly. Not yet, at least. So I think I would rate this game as a B. I'm really tempted to say A, but I'm going to hold off because, one, this is a CD game. Installing is a huge pain. And I don't know, there are times when, like, is it worth it to do all this for the FPS hit? I think the FPS hit is going to be the biggest drawback. And our last game up today is SKYHILL. And boy, did I try to make this one work. I really did. I put a lot of effort in trying to make SKYHILL work. And it didn't. I did spend quite a few time after recording this trying to get a reshade shader to work with it. But I love this cutscene, by the way. These cutscenes, when they're shown in 3D, are really nice. But they pop in and out, and it's very annoying. Where's my SKYHILL notes? Like, this part really, really cool when it is in 3D. But the problem is the game doesn't want to cooperate. And no matter what, I had to put such extreme shaders on this game to get it to even be 90% stable that I gave up. So, setup, pretty easy. You just go ahead and run it, and you can be 3D. It's not really a problem. The flux, though, you can see it's been in this video, this cinematic alone. Like, it's not 3D right now. It will be once something pops up there. It goes, it kind of went to 3D there. When something pops on the bottom, it'll be really good. It doesn't like half the screen black. I love that nuclear effect, or I don't know, zombie cloud. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be, but it's what turns everybody into zombies. So SKYHILL's a roguelite. You're just trying to get down it's Die Hard with zombies. You're trying to get down a skyscraper. I have a soft spot for this game, and I have no idea why. It's not that it's that particularly good, but I kind of, I don't know, I just kind of dug it. So the 3D is only okay. There's only a few spots where it's really significantly hit you. Like, I feel like you could see that furniture has a little bit of depth, but on all these levels, very little kind of really pops or wows in any way, shape, or form. Okay, I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself there, so let's back up a little bit and talk about. We've talked about setup. Setup was pretty easy. You could use a reshade. It does help a little bit, but it took quite a bit for me to get it to the point where it was stable enough, and it degraded the image so much I didn't think the reshade was worth it, to tell you the honest truth, when it comes to setup. I think that rating on the side messes with the shader, the 2D to 3D conversion. So that's not the only thing, but I gave up. I mean, I really ended up putting like 12, 13 shaders, and I just couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to work. The flux, there's some intermittent flux. It happens fairly commonly without a shader, and even with the shaders, I think even maxed. Oh, I'm going to stop right here. This is the best thing about the 3D. These creepy crawlies all show really nice 3D. But outside of that, there's much minimal depth in these scenes. There is depth. You can tell it's there, but it's minimal. So the 3D is just kind of like, okay. It slightly enhances the scene, but not a lot of it really does a whole lot otherwise. It's there, it's just not really popping in. The menus is just such a hot mess of flux, and it just doesn't really deliver a lot. The accuracy is okay. Most part, I think it's fairly on par. It's just that things are so flat. There's minimal amounts of depth that it doesn't really help, except for like what you're about to see here. There we go. Like, these little one-page images, of course, are going to look great because it excels at that kind of stuff. I don't really have any glitches to report with it. It seems to run just fine otherwise. There's no mouse issue or anything, which is always a plus. So the value add to this game is just okay. I think it's just okay. If I ever figure out a way to get this to run where it doesn't flux a lot and I don't have to use obscene distorting filters, look at that big guy, I will. But and I'll make a video for it. But as it stands right now, I don't think that a lot of people are going to be happy with it. So the pros are it's fun to see it in 3D. There is at least a sense of depth, and the cons are the wow factor is very low. Just like those scenes where you're picking where to hit the monsters, that's cool, but it's not going to really knock your socks off for the most part. It's very unstable, and in the menus, it's really, really bad. I cut most of that, but in the menus, as you're going over different items, it's popping in and out of 3D. Like I could live with all this, but that's too much. So take that for what it is. So rating this game, I originally had rated it D, but when I think about it, that's not fair because D is don't play it with this way, and it is playable. And the reason I know it's playable is because I played for an hour and a half after I recorded the video in 3D and kind of just enjoying it. So it did add something. So I think D is like I don't recommend you playing it at all, and that's not the case with this. I think I was just irritated with trying to get the reshade shaders to work and stuff like that. I just finally wrote down a D. I don't agree with that. I'm rating it a C. This is a C, and the reason C is neat to try out and check once if you want. Only really play it if it's your jam. This game's my jam, which is why I played it so long. I like what it adds, but its drawbacks. If the flux would settle, I would make it a B. But until I figure a way to make the flux settle, that's not. Oh, anyways, that's it. Till next time. Have a good one.